All right, so Ross chapter 6 on page 63. In 6.1, we are dealing with the matter of quiescent letters. If something quiesces, that's a verb, to quiesce. What word in English do you associate with those letters at the beginning of the word quiescent? Quiet. Okay, good. So when a sound quiesces or a letter quiesces, it goes silent. Okay? And we have some weak letters in Hebrew that will kind of go AWOL on us. And when they quiesce, they lose their consonantal value and they cease to be pronounced as the consonants that they are. We have four letters that are capable of undergoing quiescence, of actually quiescing. So we have the aleph, the hey, the vav, and the yod. What we're going to be focusing on in this little section of our lesson are just the aleph and the yod. Okay, so that's our focus today: quiescent aleph and quiescent yod. Let's take a look at a couple of examples from the book here. Let's take the word Ishmael. You know that from the book of Genesis. It's spelled this way: Yish Ma El. And I want you to notice something interesting about the spelling of Ishmael here. What did we learn about Hebrew words when it comes to what every consonant's supposed to have in a Hebrew word? Yes, every consonant must have with it either a vowel or a shavah symbol. Now, how many consonant symbols do you see in the word Ishmael? There's 6, right? Yod, Shin, Mem, Ayin, Aleph, Lamed. The Yod has its vowel. Shin has its shavah. Mem has its vowel. Ayin has its vowel. Looky here at the Aleph. What is wrong with this? It does not have a vowel or a shavah. The final consonant doesn't have to have anything, so it's only the consonants prior to the final one. What does this tell us about the Aleph? It tells us that the Aleph has quiesced. It has lost its consonantal value, and it is not to be pronounced. Okay? So when it quiesces, it will have no vowel pointing at all, no shavahs, and no vowel. It's as if it doesn't exist. You do not pronounce it. So this is pronounced Yishmael. Yishmael. And you don't try to pronounce that aleph. Another word, and this was in Genesis 1:1, is the word Reshith, which means beginning. Okay? So look at Reshith. How many consonant symbols do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? But notice Resh has its vowel and Shin has a vowel, but the aleph and the yod do not have any vowels or shavahs under them. Why doesn't the yod have one? Because it's a historically long vowel, and this is the mater. Why doesn't the aleph have one? Because it's weak, and it has quiesced. Now, under what circumstances does the aleph quiesce? The aleph quiesces when it's trying to close a syllable. I like to say that basically alephs are lousy closers, like Houston Astro pitching. At least historically, that's been true. We've had very lousy closers in the past. Well, aleph is a lousy closer. When aleph is trying to close a syllable, it will quiesce, lose its consonantal value, and it ceases to be pronounced. And it will not get any vowel or shavah under it. So let's take a look at some situations where we might see something like this. Well, let me say this. In the first case, let's take a word like Edom. You've seen Edom in our exercises and our lessons. The way Edom is spelled is with a compound shava, Edom. Say that with me, Edom. All right? Now, if I want to say to Edom, which inseparable preposition do I use? The lamed. And what does the lamed come standard with? What kind of shava? A vocal shava. Now look, I have a vocal shava next to a compound shava. Can I leave that like that? No, not at all. How am I going to resolve this problem? Shoot out an I. This is a Red Rider issue, isn't it? How many I's? Going to shoot out both and replace that with the corresponding short vowel in the compound shava, which is a segol. So this is what would happen with to Edom, le Edom. Now in this situation, this will end just like that. Okay, I'd be done. But there are some other times when I would do the same thing and the aleph would quiesce. And an example of that would be with the word for God, which is Elohim. Okay, and if I want to say to God, I would say Le Elohim. And what would happen to the vocal shava in front of that compound shava? It would get its eyes shut out. I would have a segol to replace it. And in this circumstance, the aleph is going to quiesce. When it quiesces, what's it going to do? It's going to lose its vowels, its vowel pointing. So when it loses its consonantal value, ceases to be pronounced altogether. And then do you see this segol? Is that a short or a long vowel? It's short. And so this short vowel, when the aleph quiesces, that short vowel is going to do something very interesting. It is going to lengthen. And we call this compensatory lengthening. It's going to become a long version of what it was. So a segol is a short E. It will lengthen and become a long E, which is a serre, to compensate for the loss of that aleph as a consonant. So that's called compensatory lengthening. Compensatory lengthening. We're going to see compensatory lengthening a lot in the Hebrew language. And this is the first example of that. So instead of Le Elohim, it becomes Le Lohim. Lelohim. So say that with me, Lelohim. And that would be to God. Okay? So to God. Le Edom, to Edom. Now you may be asking yourself, well, Dr. Marshall, how do I know when aleph quiesces and when it doesn't? The short answer is, sometimes it's unpredictable, as in these are two identical looking situations. Why did it not quiesce here and why did it quiesce there? So we won't always know. But when it does, we'll point that out. And then there will be some other times when we do see the aleph quiescing. And those situations will be predictable, but you don't know what they are yet. All right? So that is quiescent aleph. Let's just talk about when yod quiesces, and then we'll stop there. Okay? So let's take a word like Yehudah. Yehudah is the Hebrew word for Judah. Judah. Now, I want to say to Judah. So how would I do that? What would I add to the Yehudah? Which preposition? Lamed. That's right. Now, tell me about the shava under the yod in Yehudah. It's vocal. And I'm going to add a lamed with a vocal shava. Can I leave those two shavas there? No, no, no. I will shoot out an I. And what will happen to that vocal shava? It will become silent. Now, how will this sound? Le Yehudah becomes Li Hudah. Li Hudah. Well, you know what that sounds like? Li sounds like a Kirik Yod, doesn't it? And this is what some of my, one of my former professors used to call the Hebrew love story. Because when the Yod gets a silent Shava under it and has a Kirik before it, the Kirik and the Yod are like a man and a woman who lock eyes from across the room and they say, ah, we were once in love. We were an item. We were a thing. And they will reunite and become not just a Keurig with a yod with a silent shava, but they'll become a Keurig yod again. And this yod will quiesce, and what will happen to the vowel pointing underneath? It will go away. Okay, and so I'll be left with a Keurig yod here, and it becomes li huda. Li huda. Okay, so le Yehuda becomes li huda. Hebrew love story, retain or resume the Keurig yod, li huda. And so that means to Judah. So, you thought Hebrew was a violent language. It's actually quite romantic too. All right, there you go. Those are some of our quiescent letters.